Charleston, South Carolina. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you guys enjoy that recording as much as I did. I'm going to be honest, that recording, I heard one day when I was on my treadmill, and that recording changed my thinking, which in turn changed my life. Now, as I stated to you guys earlier, we had a great time and we have laughed and we have had just a sense of comfortability. But I'm here to give you meat, all meat. But before I go on with my segment, again, as you know, I have to give thanks to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Now, I am not here to force God on you. In fact, I don't believe God wants to be forced on anyone. We have to find him in our own timing. But never will I shy away from what he's done for me and mine. Next, I want to give recognition to a man who have been connected to my destiny. And I will forever be grateful, forever thankful. Earlier this year, I was able to talk to thousands and share some inspirational words and just words of how good God is. I had no idea that I would be speaking because God always gives me the directions but never the details. Because again, I am a control freak and he knows I will go and manipulate the situation. So humbly, I was allowed the opportunity to speak at a conference of thousands of people. And I must admit to you guys, as you know, I am as real as they come. My knees were buckling as God told me to ask for the microphone and share some words on his grace. Mind you, I'm at a concert that's an R&B concert. Everybody's gyrating and having a great time. But when God tells me to move, I move. But I also had Satan on one hand telling me, you fool. Nobody wants to hear about God at a concert. But I could only hear God saying, move and move now. I command you, move. And I did it. I did it afraid. And when I tell you, when I turned around and shared those words with the audience, I seen grown men with tears streaming down their face. I had individuals running up to me, attempting to give me $100 bills because they wanted to invest in me. But I turned it down because I don't need your money because God has blessed me abundantly. I didn't know at the time until I spoke to my mother and my great friend Kizzy that I was to receive that money because people were pouring their blessings into me. But now I know. But with that being said, what that moment did was reignited a flame in which I allowed to go out, my speaking career. My career in which God hath called me to be an inspiration to others. So I will forever be indebted to the legend and king himself, Keith Sweat. Guys, give it up for Keith Sweat. No, he is not here tonight. Trust me, I wish he was. But I will see Keith in several weeks at his family's annual Christmas party. And I will present this video so I can show him that we do support him here in Charleston. But most importantly, I will always honor him because he was a part of my destiny. God strategically placed him in line. And anytime God placed anyone in your life strategically who was connected to your destiny, I don't care if it's a celebrity or the homeless man at the gas station, you honor and you give recognition and thankfulness and gratitude at all times. So, with that being said, keep this coming January 11th. Get your tickets. I already have front row because you know how I do. All right, guys, so with that being said, I'm going to jump right into my segment. So, as you know, the title of my conference is Changing the City. I've been working on this day in and day out. People don't understand. You think people just come on the stage and speak. You have to hear from God. You have to study. You have to pray. Because sometimes you may have a message, and that message is not what God will have you to deliver. So you have to be in isolation. You have to be in meditation to hear the voice of the Spirit. So that is, again, how I came up with the conference title, Changing the City. But what I want to do is I want to break it down in segments. I'm going to break it down in the fact that seasons changes, the shift. With that being said, in my personal opinion, again, everything I say is my personal opinion, my personal experience. There are 3 seasons in life: the beginning, middle, and end. I like to call them the beginning season is your do-it-yourself season. That is the season in which you're doing everything yourself. God is nowhere involved. The second season is your transitional season. That is the season in which you have graduated from the first season, but God is not ready to promote you to the next season. So you're stuck. And you, as I go into each season in detail, you will realize that the transitional season, the middle season, will have a longer outline. And it's because most people get stuck in that middle season. Many people in here are in that middle season. Many people in here have been stuck in that middle season for 20 and 30 years. They've never did the work to advance to the third season, which I consider to be the forever season, the season in which blessings are abundant. Weapons may form, but they will never prosper. Don't get me wrong, you have to fight, but it's a different kind of fight. God will fight your battles in that season. So with that being said, I'm going to start with the first season. The first season, in which I call your do-it-yourself season, that is the season in which, again, you're doing everything yourself. That is the season in which most likely labels will be placed upon you because you don't even know who you are in that season. That is the season that many things that has happened to you in childhood have set the tone for who you are. Doesn't mean you have to stay there, but it does set the tone. I thank God for having me in the middle because I'm a very diverse individual. I have people in my life who have came from the perfect upbringing, the Roses, the Dandies, and the Disney Worlds. And I have people in my life who were raised in crack houses. And I love them both the same. No person is more than the next. We all just had a different experience. And that is why God used people who are transparent, because he will use you as a bridge to mesh the two. So again, let's go back to our first season, because we're going to get through all 3 seasons. The first season is to do it yourself. Again, the things that you have experienced have set the tone. So let's just say that you were one of the children who came from the addicted crack homes. You experienced trauma, and trauma can go a long way, but you experienced trauma in your childhood. As time goes on, and you become maybe a teenager, even early 20s, you're lost, and you're doing everything to mask the pain. Let it be alcohol, dope, sweets, sex. An addiction is an addiction, but addictions mask pain. So in that first season, you're trying to figure life out. You're trying to figure out who you are. And mind you, everybody cannot relate to this because everybody didn't come from hell. But this is for the individuals, the thousands online, who may have been locked in closets, starved for days at a time, went from foster home to foster home, never knowing who your parents were, dealing with abandonment issues, don't know who to trust, when to trust. If I couldn't trust my parents, why would I trust God? So you're trying to find your identity, but it's easier to mask the pain. It's easier to dress up a mess. On top of that, you have people judging you who are envious and jealous of you, and they don't even realize you're going through the same thing that they're going through. We're all trying to figure this thing out called life. And then eventually, as you go on, and there's no certain time limit, there's no certain age, because it's all about experiences, we enter a season where we realize what we're doing no longer works. life is now heavy on our shoulders. So eventually, we just feel like, oh, okay, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. And then God, who loves us so much, will eventually come in and say, I've been waiting on you. Come on in. Now, this is at the beginning. He's going to give you a chance to gradually ease into that second season. Now, either you're going to heed his warning or you're going to be forced into that second season, which is your transitional season. Now, life is going to get so unbearable that at some point you're going to utter the words, God, help me. You may be at your darkest moment in a hospital bed, cancer diagnosis, divorce. Mind you, it branches off in so many different areas. Different situations, same pain. So before you know it, you're forced into the transitional season. It's okay. You're forced into the transitional season. This season will be the lowest season you've ever been to. You will be broke, busted, and disgusted. God is going to snatch everything from you. Your money, the people, sometimes even your career, your family. He's going to snatch it all from you. Here's why. Sometimes we see this punishment, but it's not punishment. We want to blame everything on Satan. Oh, the devil. Sometimes it's not always the devil. Sometimes it's God trying to give you the blessings in which he has in store for you in your last third season. So, okay, let's get back to the second season, your transitional season, because we have mastered the first season. We knew everything in the first season because we did it all on our own. We created our careers. We chose our spouse. We did everything on our own. We chose our school, everything. But now, because you said, God, help me, he heard you. So that shut off. You can't even go back if you wanted to. So I'm going to be honest enough with anybody in here. If you are not ready to buckle up and go for the ride of your life, do not ask God to step in. Because sometimes we assume, because we ask for help, it's just going to drop on our lap tomorrow. We have no idea that it's a transition to get to whatever it is that you're asking for. And sometimes that transition takes years, decades, depends on you. So at this point that you're in your transitional season, God have you broke, busted, and disgusted. Every door you knock on will not answer. It would even crack and shut in your face. All the friends who normally could give you all the answers will not answer their phone. Why? Because God is now developing your relationship in which you depend solely on him. He's developing your trust for him. Now, I'm going to be honest. In that season, you will be tested like never before. Everything from the first season will come back. Mind you, God has snatched your finances. Even though all this is designed to have you to depend on him, we still got to pay our bills. The dope man from the first season is going to come knocking to try to get you to go back there. The married man who used to supply you. Anything that you developed in that first season will come back more powerful than ever to distract you and to tempt you. But if you touch it, you will set every blessing back, and you literally have to go and start fresh all over again. Because see, what God does is he designs it where he's going to always come through, but it's always at that very end. It's at that end when you think, I have to pay the bill by 9 o'clock. The kids are hungry. There is no other way. It comes down to that very second. Because what he's doing is he's trying to see, do you really trust me? Or do you say you trust me? And if you're going to resist that temptation, he will come through. He will come through. In that transitional season, he will also have you to start working on some things that we don't like. He will start to have you to forgive some people. Forgiveness, oh my God. One of the most difficult things. Again, I'm being transparent and honest in my life. But what I had to learn is this. Forgiveness does not equate to reconciliation. Just because you forgive someone does not mean they belong back into your life. Forgiveness just means that I no longer want to bust your head when I see you. Forgiveness means that I'm no longer holding on to these toxins because I don't want to get sick with cancer and diseases. So I'm going to release this thing, but you can't be back in my life. But most importantly, what forgiveness has taught me, or what has made forgiveness easy for me, is when you sit down and dissect your life. Every single thing from childhood to when you leave this earth is connected to your destiny. Every single hurt, pain, whatever, happiness, joy, everything is connected and had to happen in order to advance you from each level. So when you think about it like that and you change your thinking and you stop focusing on that hurt, who hurt me, who betrayed me, who caused affliction upon me that have changed my life. When you look at it differently and you think to yourself, that thing happened, but it advanced me. It will help you forgive because you realize, I got it now. We put too much trust in people. People are just people. Why do you think people turn to drugs and alcohol when they're going through a divorce? Because you gave people that kind of trust. We're human. We're all trying to figure life out. That kind of trust should only be in God, knowing that if someone hurt or betray you, it will be God who gets you through the hurt, not you. And when you adopt that concept, it makes life a little bit more easier. So also in that transition season where you are broke, busted, and disgusted, again, he's going to have you work on some things, forgiveness. He's going to make you look in the mirror. He's going to make you look at you. No more blaming my childhood. No more blaming that ex who cheated on me. No more blaming anything. It's about you. What do you need to work on? Why do you keep going to the same type of men or women? What is it in you that needs to be changed? So he's going to cause you and force you to look at you. And it's not easy. Looking in the mirror at your own flaws is not an easy thing to do. But it will be easy if you're ready for growth. So again, in that season, you're going to be forced to do a lot of things. You're going to be forced to go back and confront trauma, whatever that trauma may be. And guess what? You can't go back and confront it by masking it with the drugs or alcohol. You got to go back and confront it sober. Before you even mask it, you have to first identify it because, believe it or not, a lot of people are in bondage and generational curses, and they don't even know why. Because it has happened generations and generations before you. So sometimes, again, he's going to make you go back and figure it out. During this season, it's extremely important to figure out your language with God. I'm not knocking church. I love church. We come together and we worship. But a relationship with God is different than church. We all hear God differently. For myself, it's an isolation. It's when the room is quiet and it's just me and stillness. And some people, it's through someone else as a messenger. For some others, it's through church. But you in that season have to figure out what is your language with God. Here's why. Nobody's going to answer their phone, remember? All relationships will be severed, remember? So the only person you're going to be hearing from is God. So you have to understand, how does God talk to you? He will also then make you start forgiving yourself. Things that you've done to others in the first season. You've hurt people along the way. You've done some things. We all have done some things in which we're not proud of. Let's be real. We're all a human. So he's going to have you start forgiving yourself. Do you know there's people in this world today still holding on 30, 40 years later that they hurt someone and they're in bondage and can't move on to the person that God truly has for them because they're in bondage, because they can't move on and forgive themselves that they hurt someone. You're human. Forgive yourself. So all these different things he will have you working on in this transformation season. But I'm going to share something with you that I wish someone had shared with me. The longer you take to seek the message in the storm, in that transitional period, the longer your storm will be. There's a message in every storm. So God is trying to tell you something in that storm. He's trying to alert you like, okay, we're going through it right now. Yeah, I have you in your face, but I need you to prepare some things for your forever season. Well, I didn't know that. I thought I should fight the devil every day. And that's what I was doing. Listen, I'm not going to give up on the fight. So I was fighting, swinging, kicking. Devil, you're not going to get me. I was tired. And one day I went to church with my mom. And as confident as I may look on the stage, believe it or not, I'm really shy, believe it or not. So I'm one of those people, I'm not going to go up to the front when the pastor says, everybody come up for prayer. No, I'm going to stay in my seat. And then the pastor came to me. He walked past everybody who was up there for prayer. And he came to me. And I'll never forget this. Sometimes you don't receive things at the time. But he kept saying to me as he was praying over me, God is trying to tell you something. God is trying to tell you something. The more he said, the more he would shake. So I know he was on to something, but I didn't know what that something was. I was fighting the devil every day. And now I receive it. What he was saying to me was, until you receive the message in the storm, you will continue to go in circles. There's a message in every storm. You got to figure out, God, okay, I'm going through this, but what are you trying to tell me? But in order to hear the answer, you must listen. You got to shut everything down. Social media is made to distract you. And everything that distracts you will destroy you. That was one of the most difficult things for me, disciplining myself with social media. I want to look at it 24 hours a day like everyone else when I first wake up, when I'm going to sleep. But if you notice, at some point, social media was all fun and dandy. We found all of our friends who we didn't see in high school, and now it's about killings and children who's dead and bombs, and that was a trap to get us in at the beginning. And now the only thing that we're reading is getting into our souls. Anything that affects your soul negatively, you cannot receive anything from the Spirit. In order to be filled in the Spirit, you must be purified. You can't be purified if toxins are all in you. That's just not social media. That means the people in your lives. If you're allowing gossip, nonsense, and negativity all day long, you're full of toxins. Cancer is at an all-time high because we're full of toxins. And it's not just food. So again, in that transitional season, again, he's going to have you start facing a lot of things, fixing a lot of things. But if I could give you one piece of advice, work with what you got. Prepare with what you got. You're not going to have a lot of money because, again, he snatched it all. YouTube is free. YouTube is your best friend. Anything in which you are trying to aspire to be or place you are aspiring to go, research it, study. YouTube is free. You got to fill yourself up with what you have. Here's why. When that transition season starts to come to an end, and God is preparing you for the final season, It will happen overnight. You won't have time to get prepared. That is why in the transitional season, you must start preparing yourself. So let's just say you want to have a barbershop or a salon. Start buying your little equipment one by one. Whatever it is that you can do it. Because when that opportunity presents itself, it's going to be a small window, and if you're not prepared, you're going to miss it. But I'm going to go back for a quick second because I missed a key point that I really wanted to touch on. One thing that God has said to me when I was young, again, I always knew I was different, always. I would be in the schoolyard in elementary school and watching other little kids playing on merry-go-rounds and all that stuff, and I would too. But I will always find myself fixated on the child who was the black sheep or the child who was being bullied. And I felt like if I made them my friend, they won't be bullied. So I always knew I was different, but when you're that young, you can't identify what that different is. And then I'll never forget, I had a conversation with my friend Kizzy, who was here. And I said to her, probably about 5 years ago, I said, Kizzy, and mind you, I was just developing my relationship with God, so I just knew that God had said to me, Kizzy, you are to be in the middle. Mind you, even before my relationship with God, I've always been someone who walked to the beat of my own drums. I've always been a leader, always. I've never followed others. But I remember God said something to me early on in my early 20s. He said to me, I'm going to use you strategically. Because see, church folks tend to think that God only used people who are in church, covered from head to toe. And mind you, I didn't know what he was saying, because again, I was still newer in my walk. He said, I'm going to use you strategically. But I'm going to give you a promise. I will put you amongst great men. Put you on stages with millions. But you have to make me a promise. Well, okay, God, I got you. What is it? He said, never, ever allow anyone to tell you that you cannot speak my name. Don't force it down their throat. But never let them tell you you cannot speak my name. And lastly, never, ever let anyone change you. So I said, okay, God, I'm cool with that, because I like who I am, I think. But then, like many of you, at some point in my life, I fell in love, was fooled up for a little minute, I won't lie. And then I started to kind of let him get in my head, and my family's looking at me like, what? I didn't know. But I started to let him get in my head, and, well, you just look too sexy. And I kind of start toning everything down. You know what happened? When you change for someone, you lose yourself. And when you lose yourself, you lose the direction of your purpose. Never, ever change for anyone. Now, small changes is okay. Compromising change is cool. But not when they're trying to change your identity, especially for their own insecureness. I stood true to that. I lost myself, but it lasted 2 weeks. Oh, God got me back quick. I was like, oh, no, I don't even know who I am. Oh, I'm waking up and I'm like, who? And then God got back to me quick. What did I tell you? Say no more. But one thing I'm going to tell you about losing yourself. If you ever lost yourself, you will never lose yourself again. That's right. You will never give anybody that type of control over your life. Now, to give you an example on how God strategically uses me, one out of thousands that I can say, he sent men to me. They come to me with their own intentions. Of course, it's okay, we're human. But when they leave me, I done got up all on that soul. So let me give you an example. One of many. I was in a grocery store shopping and minding my business. And I noticed every aisle that I went on, there was a handsome gentleman who happened to meet me on every aisle, looking for things that he had no idea was on that aisle. And finally, and if you guys know me, you know I'm very down to earth. I may not be very approachable, I guess, in some people's mind, but I will sit there and have a conversation with you about everything. And finally, he said to me, he said, "You're extremely beautiful." I said, "Well, thank you. God's grace. Because I sure won't look like what I've been through." And he said, "I would love to take you to dinner. Are you married?" I said, "No, I'm single." He said, "Oh, you're single." He said, "But can I take you to dinner?" As I looked at him, I'm an empath. That's one of my gifts. An empath is somebody who feels out through your spirit. You can sit here and tell me all day long, "You good?" I'm good. You ain't good. You're hurting. But I'm going to be careful how I tap into it because I don't want to run you off. So I said to him, I said, "Well, I thank you for the offer, but I can't accept." He said, "Why not? You said you're single." I said, "I am." I said, "Because you're hurting. You are here trying to mask the pain." I said, "Whatever it is you're going through, go home and make it right." And he started backing up like a ghost with his mouth open to the end of the aisle. And I just continued shopping. I didn't think no more about it. That's how God uses me. So when I left the establishment, he was waiting outside. I was like, "Okay, wait a minute now." He said to me, "Who are you?" I said, "What do you mean? I'm Kizzy Rock." He said, "No, who are you?" "A child of God." "No, who are you? What do you mean?" He said, "I'm from Los Angeles. I'm in South Carolina for the first time, just trying to get away." "Yeah, you're trying to get away from that hurt and that pain. But you're going to keep masking that pain, whether it be traveling, alcohol, dope, running through everything you meet, wasting other people's time, destroying more souls. Go home and make it right." He said, "But how did you know?" I said, "I don't know. I'm just telling you what God said to me." He said, "But you're right. I messed up. I won't lie. I got caught cheating on a girl, and she's a good girl, and she left me." And I said, "Move your pride aside. Make it right. Because you can meet Holly Berry, you can meet Janet Jackson. I don't care who you meet. Until you go back and fix that thing, you will keep being hurt." I said, "Now, with that being said, I got to go." And I'll never forget, as I drove off, and I looked in my rearview mirror, he was literally standing in the middle of the parking lot with his mouth open. Cars going around him. He was still stuck there trying to decide, who is this person? So that's just a quick rundown. One of thousands situation in how God uses me. So some of you church folks have to be careful trying to change people. Because God will use people. He will use the crackhead on the corner. Speaking of the crackhead on the corner, I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, 2010. I just moved there, so I still have my South Carolina tags. So you know me, I'm new in the town. I mean, that was my partying days on. I was having a good time. I wanted to go to the lounge and check it out and meet people new in the city. Well, I stopped to a gas station to get gas. "Mama, I'm sorry, I did get gas 10 o'clock at night." I stopped and get gas. And there was a homeless guy that approached me. Mind you, if you know me, you will find me on the corner talking to the homeless people. I love everybody. Everybody have a story. So I'm pumping gas, and he came up. You know how they go. "Can I have a couple of dollars?" Listen, you're going to get these dollars, but you're going to get some words. So then I shared with him some words like, "Listen, I don't know your story, why you're stuck, but until you find God, you will remain stuck, da-da-da-da-da." And all of a sudden, as I'm talking to him, this guy pulls up next to me. It was 2010, so at the time, 2010 Benz. "What are you doing? You're a beautiful girl with out-of-state tags, and you're talking to this bum." And it shook me, because what I had realized was that, okay, I'm not in such the best side of town, but I'm one of those individuals who feel like, listen, when God got you, period. So then I was so caught up on him yelling at me, "What are you doing?" that I didn't realize the homeless bum had walked off. So I couldn't find him to give him the few dollars that he asked for. So then I eventually made my way to the lounge that was right down the street. And when I walked in the door, my mind was still on this bum. So when I walked in, I said, "Well, I'll have one glass of wine and I'll leave. I'm going to go back and find this bum." So when I walked in the door, men being men, everyone rushing to the bar, can I buy you a drink? But I could not get my mind off of this one guy. Then finally, I went to the restroom. I said, I'm going to use the restroom and I'm going to leave. So when I went to the restroom, a lady followed me. She gave me some words that changed my life. She was a lot older than I was at the time. And she said, I was in the mirror, just kind of washing my hands. And she said, listen. I was like, okay. She said, you're a beautiful girl. I said, well, thank you. So are you. We all are beautiful. She said, when you walk in this door, all the men stop. It was a domino effect. I said, well, ma'am, it's probably because I'm in new faces. Men knew new faces. No, you're a beautiful girl. But let me tell you something. You ain't going to shake my self-esteem. I said, ma'am, I love it. I love it. She said, but I want to give you some advice. And this advice, stick with me to this day. She said, every look and stare is not a look or stare of jealousy or envy. Many times it's a stare of admiration. She said, it's not that people dislike you. They dislike what they cannot understand. And that message changed my life. So to those of you who's dealing with any of that, understand that it's not that people dislike you. God have called you to do something different. And that's okay. That's okay. But anyway, so as I close into the transitional season, and as I said, at that point, there's different stages, but when you start to come to the ending of that transitional season, what will happen is you will start to then see a glimmer of light. Now, don't get me wrong, things will not be perfect, but you will start to have some hope, because when you first enter that season, you're going to be extremely lost. So once you start to see that little glimmer of light, it's like, okay, I think I got this now. All of a sudden, God will come in and remove the levees. All your blessings will flow in. When you hear people say your blessings will chase you down, it almost sounds cliche because we hear it so much. But in that third, last, forever season, it is true. My levee broke January 2019 of this year. The Spirit said to me, God said to me through the Spirit, you got a small window, 2019 only. You're going to make it happen or you're not. I shut everything down. No one saw me. I got to work. I studied. I researched. I did it afraid. I can't tell you how many times I did it afraid. I don't care if he had me to speak, give words. I've been in a room with millions and billionaires. He said, speak my name. Do it afraid. Each and every time I did, and I stayed obedient, those people were moved. You going up in rooms with celebrities thinking that their life is so together, but let me tell you something, that's a different kind of pressure. And I thank God for witnessing that, because we all think, oh, I want to be a celebrity. When you discover what they go through, and I finally got a glimpse of that this year. Why do you think they're all on drugs and alcohols and blowing their brains out? That's a different kind of pressure. So that's why God is so strategic, and he prepares us for it, stage by stage. We want it overnight. How many overnight sensations last? That thing will kill you if you're not careful. And I thank God for not giving me things that I wanted overnight. I thank God for the process. And I thank God for giving me the strength to master whatever that in that transitional season. And for whatever it is for you, I don't care if it's an addiction, if it's a marriage, I don't care what that thing is that you are fighting with in that transitional season. Once you master it and put the work in, you're going to reach that forever season. To my last and final season, the forever season. As I stated earlier, it is not that you won't have to fight. You just won't have to stress when you're fighting. Because God will fight your battles. It's true. The weapon will form. Oh, it will form. It's going to probably form more than ever at this point, but it will not prosper. But one thing you must remember in that forever season, the most important thing, you are required to give back. Required. You owe God. And that's why I'm here tonight, because I'm required to give back. That's why my friends James and Carmelita have reached their forever season. Let me explain something to you. I don't care who you see, marriage, success, no one have entered that forever season by skipping the transitional season. No one. That's why it's important to stop envying people, because you don't know. Some people just dress up a mess. We all go through hell. We all are deserving. So guys, I just want to thank you guys, and as I said earlier, I just want you guys to keep fighting, never ever give up, master that transitional season, because soon and very soon you are going to make it to that forever season. But again, lastly, remember what I said to you and which God said to me. When he advanced you, never, ever be afraid to speak his name. Charleston, South Carolina, I thank you guys wholeheartedly, humbly, each and every one of you. We are one. Let's go, guys. We are one.